Stop running from yourself. The radical truth about healing boundaries and building a life that doesn't break you. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Lakisha Rutledge, a woman whose journey from survival to softness is nothing short of transformative. Lakisha is a healer, a truth teller, and a living testament to the power of choosing yourself even when the world taught you to run. Her story, her wisdom, and her courage are making the world a better place by showing Black women that healing isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of everything we build. And what she shared with me and what I'm about to share with you will challenge everything you thought you knew about starting over, about strength, and about what it really means to stop running and finally come home to yourself. So let's talk about something we don't talk about enough. Starting over, we celebrate it, don't we? We call it resilience. We call it reinvention. We say things like, she's a phoenix rising from the ashes. But what if I told you that constantly starting over, constantly jumping from one relationship to the next job, to the next city, to the next version of yourself isn't always a sign of strength? What if it's actually a sign that your nervous system and your inner child have been trying to protect you the only way they knew how? Lakisha Rutledge shared something with me that stopped me in my tracks. She said, your pattern of escape is not your shame story, it's your starting point for healing. And when you start healing, you don't lose your drive or ambition. You just stop sacrificing your soul to succeed. Let that sit with you for a moment. We've been taught, especially as Black women, to celebrate the grind, to push through, to constantly reinvent ourselves. But Lakeisha challenged that narrative in our conversation. She said, Regs, sometimes the thing you're trying to escape is actually you, your own unhealed patterns, your lack of boundaries and standards, your unchallenged beliefs about your worth. And nothing changes until you stop running and decide to turn toward yourself instead of away. This is the counterintuitive truth that Lakeisha brought to light. Escaping isn't laziness or irresponsibility, it's an unhealed strategy. And for so many of us, that strategy worked for a long time. It kept us alive, it kept us moving. But at some point, we have to ask ourselves, am I building a life or am I just outrunning my pain? Think about the woman who keeps switching jobs because she thinks the next one will finally be the one that fulfills her. Think about the entrepreneur who starts business after business but never stops long enough to ask why the last one didn't work. Think about the woman who moves cities, changes churches, ends relationships, always believing that the next place, the next person, the next opportunity will be different. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. If you don't heal what's inside you, you take it with you everywhere you go. Lakeisha's insight reminded me of the work being done by Dr. Joy Harden Bradford through therapy for Black girls. Dr. Joy noticed something powerful. Many of her Black women clients were excelling externally, degrees, careers, businesses, but silently struggling with depression, anxiety, and unresolved trauma. Traditional mental health spaces often felt disconnected from their lived experiences. The language didn't fit, the examples didn't resonate. The therapist didn't understand the weight of being a Black woman in America, navigating racism, sexism, and the pressure to be twice as good to get half as much. So in 2017, she launched Therapy for Black Girls, a podcast and therapist directory specifically for Black women, using culturally relevant language and examples that reflect the realities of Black professionals and entrepreneurs. The platform openly discusses topics like people pleasing, boundaries, self esteem, church hurt, and trauma, connecting mental health conversations directly to work, money, and relationships. And the impact has been profound. Therapy for Black girls has become a leading resource for Black women's mental health, with millions of downloads and a large audience of professional and entrepreneurial Black women. More Black women are now actively seeking out Black therapists who understand their cultural context. And the platform has helped normalize the idea that healing is not weakness, but a powerful tool for clarity, leadership, and sustainable success. Dr. Joy's work helped shift the narrative from strong Black woman who handles everything alone to whole Black woman who deserves support, rest, and healing. And that shift, that permission to be whole instead of just strong, is exactly what Lakisha Rutledge is inviting us into. Because here's the thing, you can't outrun yourself. Healing is the foundation of sustainable success. No matter how many times you start over in business, relationships, or your career, you go with you. If you don't address your thinking, your boundaries, and your self esteem, you'll keep recreating the same pain in new environments. Therapy, coaching, and real inner work are not optional extras. They're core business strategy for Black professionals who want peace and prosperity. Lakeisha shared three key insights with me that I want you to hold on to. First, you can't outrun yourself. Healing is the foundation of sustainable success. Second, so your trauma responses once kept you alive, but they don't have to be your operating system anymore. And third, progress and healing doesn't always look like big leaps. Sometimes it's just jumping in place, and that still counts. Let's talk about that second insight. Your trauma responses once kept you alive, but they don't have to be your operating system anymore. Saying yes when you want to say no, choosing partners who need you small, jumping into the next thing just to escape the last thing. These are strategies you picked up for survival. They are not proof that you're weak or broken. You can honor how those patterns helped you in the past and still decide, I'm ready to live differently now. This is where the story of Kimberly Bryant becomes so relevant. Kimberly Bryant is a Black electrical engineer who experienced isolation and bias as one of the few Black women in engineering and tech spaces. She witnessed how systemic racism and lack of access to resources limited opportunities for Black girls, reflecting broader patterns of exclusion and internalized self doubt. Kimberly's journey involved navigating predominantly white male environments where she had to constantly prove her worth. That experience, mean the emotional strain, the subtle and not so subtle messages of you don't belong here, mirrors the internal conflicts many Black professionals face, performing at a high level while carrying unhealed wounds from exclusion and invisibility. But instead of letting that story stay as pain, she transformed it into purpose by launching Black Girls Code in 2011, a nonprofit organization empowering young Black girls to learn coding and technology skills. The programs were intentionally designed to affirm their identity and brilliance, countering the quiet trauma of always being the only one in technical spaces. Black Girls Code has reached thousands of girls in multiple cities, introducing them to coding, robotics, and app development. Many alumni have pursued STEM education and careers, citing the program as the turning point that helped them see what was possible. Instead of running from that pain, Kimberly turned toward it, and in doing so, created a space where young Black girls could heal from wounds they hadn't even received yet. That's what healing does. It doesn't just change you, it changes the people around you, it changes the systems you build, it changes the legacy you leave. And then there's the story of Myleik Teal, founder of Curl Box, a subscription box service for natural hair products targeted primarily at Black women. Myleik has been open in interviews and on her platform about the role therapy, boundaries, and self awareness have played in her entrepreneurial journey. As a high achieving Black woman entrepreneur, she faced intense pressure, burnout, and the weight of always needing to be on for her community and her brand. She discussed people pleasing tendencies and the difficulty of setting boundaries in business, especially when your customers and community look like you and you feel responsible for everyone. Before Curlbox, Myleik worked in PR and built a strong reputation in media and marketing. Like many ambitious Black women, she was used to hustling hard and pushing through. As Curlbox scaled, the pressure intensified. She realized that without confronting her patterns, overextending herself, difficulty saying no, tying her worth to performance, her success would come at too high a cost. So Malik sought therapy and began integrating mental health practices into her life and decision making as a founder. She became intentional about boundaries, saying no, and structuring her business in ways that protected her energy and long term well being. Through her podcast and social media, she speaks candidly about mistakes, lessons learned, and how self awareness and healing shape her leadership. The outcome? Curlbox grew into a successful, widely recognized brand in the natural hair industry. But more than that, Myleik built a loyal audience not just around products, but around transparent conversations about growth, mistakes, and therapy. Her openness about boundaries and mental health has encouraged many Black women entrepreneurs to reassess how they build and sustain their businesses. Therapy and intentional personal growth became non negotiable, allowing her to pivot from survive the business to build a business that doesn't destroy me. Myleik's story normalizes the idea that successful Black women founders can prioritize therapy, boundaries, and emotional health without losing their edge. It shows that healing and business strategy are deeply connected. When founders address their internal patterns, they build more sustainable structures, make clear decisions, and stop recreating chaos in their companies. This brings me back to Lakisha Rutledge's third insight. Progress and healing doesn't always look like big leaps. Sometimes it's just jumping in place, and that still counts. As Black leaders and entrepreneurs, we glorify big wins and overnight success, but daily imperfect movement is where real transformation happens. If all you can do today is one small, honest step, a boundary, a phone call, a journal entry, a therapy session, that is movement. And movement can provoke change. Lakeisha said something to me that I'll never forget. She said, even if I'm jumping in place, and again, that's movement. And if I have the slightest bit of movement, I can provoke change. That's the kind of grace we need to give ourselves. That's the kind of softness we need to embrace. Because here's what we're really talking about, we're talking about redefining strength, we're talking about releasing the cape, we're talking about protecting peace as a practice, we're talking about healing in real time. We're talking about embracing softness in a world that taught us survival. And that's what Soft Girl Era is all about. It's the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. It's not a trend, it's a lifestyle rebellion. A deep exhale from the Superwoman script, a quiet but powerful return to softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy. So here's what I want to leave you with today. If you stop trying to escape your life for just one moment and told yourself the whole truth about what hurts and what you need, what is one brave healing step you could take this week? Not to build something new, but to become someone new. This week, I challenge you to choose one healing action that supports your nervous system and your future. Schedule a therapy session. Set a boundary you've been avoiding. Journal honestly about a pattern you keep repeating. Have a real conversation with yourself about where you're using work or relationships to run from you. Don't focus on fixing your whole life. Focus on making one committed shift from escape to intentional healing. Because the truth is, you can't outrun yourself, but you can turn toward yourself. You can stop running. You can start healing. And when you do, you don't lose your drive or your ambition. You just stop sacrificing your soul to succeed. You build businesses that don't break you. You create relationships that don't drain you. You design a life that actually fits the woman you're becoming, not the girl you were trying to survive as. Healing is not a luxury, it's the foundation of everything you build. It's the difference between repeating cycles and breaking them. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. It's the difference between running and resting. And it starts with one decision, one boundary, one honest moment, one brave step towards yourself. Stop running, start healing. The world is waiting for the whole healed, soft version of you.